I don't know why, but I keep restarting this video, and for some reason, I cannot fucking talk. Hey guys, what's up? It's Core. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being patient and sticking around. I have been gone for a couple of weeks now, but it's just because I was super busy at work. I really apologize. I promise I'm gonna start being more on top of my shit. I got a few story time videos lined up. I have it all planned down, written out, everything. So I am ready to get back into it. So by the look of the title, I'm assuming you guys can already tell what I'm gonna be talking about. It's kind of a sensitive subject for me. Every time I talk about it, it gives me goosebumps. It just reminds me of him. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about this with my best friend and her mom. Before we went to a Warriors game, there was one of those like haunting episodes on the TV. So we all just like kind of got into a conversation of like, do you believe in ghosts, yada yada, like shit like that. I thought I would come on here and tell you guys about, I don't know, I don't even know if it was a paranormal experience. This shit had me so shook for weeks, and at such a young age, like it really stuck with me. Bit of a backstory. My uncle is not actually my biological uncle. He was my dad's, like one of my dad's oldest friends. So he is not my biological uncle. He was just my dad's best friend, you know, like it was that kind of thing. My uncle did pass away when I was in 7th grade, the day before my dad's birthday. I remember my dad coming home and being like, so like, I have some bad news to tell you. At the time, my dad was going through like some court shit that I'm not gonna get into. It's not my business to tell, so I'm not gonna tell it. So I was so scared. I was like, like, what happened? Like, are you okay? Am I gonna be okay? Like, am I gonna have to move back to mom's? Like, got me down, and he was like, it's about Uncle Joel. Immediately, like, my heart sunk. Me, my brother, and my sister were really close with him growing up, just because my Uncle Joel was really close with my mom. He was close, obviously, with my dad. That was my dad's best friend. And he just, like, we grew up with him around. He would come to birthday parties. Like, all of our, like, youth family pictures and shit like that, like, he was in them. He was at, like I said, like, birthday party, just everything. He was always there. My heart sunk, and I was like, he passed away. And my dad just kind of, like, shook his head and, like, got all teary-eyed. So that was just, like, a really hard thing for my dad. And it was a really hard thing for me. Fast forward, a week goes by. We're getting ready to go to the funeral. My first funeral I've ever been. It's open casket. I walked in with my dad, and I sat with my dad. My mom and my brother were already sitting, and they were sitting like 2 rows in front of us. I remember getting in there and sitting down like in my little bed. The funeral goes on. His mom gives a really sad speech, but beautiful speech at the same time. Pastor told everybody like it was now time to like go up and say like your last goodbyes. I remember looking at my dad, and I was like, I don't want to go look at his body, you know. I was in 7th grade, so how old are you in 7th grade? 11, 12. Dad was just looking at me like, you don't have to go up, but like if you want to see him one last time, like go up and say goodbye. So I finally worked up the courage. I was, you know, crying, walking up there, and everybody, like the room just kind of got silent, and I'm just like crying, and I leaned over because his casket was on like a table. Got on my tippy toes, and I was just looking at him, and I remember just like looking at him, and he didn't look anything like I remembered Uncle Joel to look like. He just did not look the same. I leaned down and I kissed him on the cheek, and I told him I loved him and I hoped he was in a better place, and I knew he'd always be looking down on me. We're all gonna go out for drinks to like, for a celebration of life, like kind of thing. My Uncle Ty lived with my dad at the time. I remember they took me home. I was home by myself after my dad and his friends went. I remember staying up for as long as possible, turned all the lights on in the house. I just kind of like sat on the couch and watched TV. I didn't have a cell phone or anything at that time. My dad didn't allow me to. Falling asleep to the TV. This is where shit gets like a little like crazy. This uncle that passed away is not related to this woman that I'm about to talk about at all. So my aunt, who also happens to be my godmom, I'm really close with. I know she's watching this. I love you, Rini. She was married to this man that I'm not gonna name. He was not a very good man. At the time, she was having like issues in her marriage with him. I'm not gonna get too deep in, but this is just like how I remember it. Into this like deep sleep, and I started dreaming. In my dream, I'm with my aunt and her husband. We're in the middle of this field. In real life, this field, it's just a field, and it has like a little like liquor store and like kind of like a little bar. It burned down now. It's like on this field, right? And then it's just this big long field for miles. In my dream, we're at this field, but in the middle of this field, it's like a car dealership. Aunt's husband was on this like Batmobile looking motorcycle. It was floating, it was like hovering above ground, and me and my aunt were like looking at him, and we are just like, yeah, like it's so cool, you know, like girls like bored. Remember, he got off the bike, and him and my aunt kind of like, you know, walked off, and from the corner of my eye, I see a bright light shining in this field. It was just a sense where I remember turning my head, looking at my aunt, and they were getting into another car, and I turned my head again because the light kept getting brighter. Sunrise is kind of like yellow, but when this light was coming up, it was like bright white. Like this light, I'm looking directly at this light. Through the light walks my uncle. This is the night of my uncle's funeral, okay? Just keep that in the back of your head. So in the middle of this light, out walks my uncle, and he is really far away. He's so far away, but I could make him out. I just heard Courtney. It was so clear. And I don't know, like I wasn't even scared. I just walked towards the light. I ran into his arm. He held me forever and he hugged me. He was just like, I love you, like it's okay, I'm okay now, I'm in a better place, but I just want to tell you something. And this is where like I get a little teary-eyed and like goosebumps all the time. That man over there was pointing to my aunt's husband. That man over there is no good, and I don't want you around him, and I want you to warn somebody. And I was like, Uncle Joel, like what are you talking about? What do you mean? Like it's her husband? Are you pointing at somebody differently? I'm supposed to fucking tell the car dealer fucking salesman dude's boss that like he's a terrible person? Like who the fuck are you talking to? He's like, no. And he pointed like directly at my aunt's husband and was like, do not trust him. If you do one last thing for me, warn somebody about him. I was just like, okay, like I promise you. I gave him one last hug, and he kissed me on the forehead and he said, I love you. I said, I love you too. And we like stepped away from the hug, and he faded away into the light. I woke up to my dad and his friends coming in the house. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I got up, I went into my room, and I fell asleep. A week later, you guys, I'm not even shitting you, a week later, my aunt announced that she was leaving her husband. And I'm not gonna say why, but I'm just gonna say that my uncle was right, and that was his way of coming to me and helping my family, tell me that he loves me and that he's always watching down on me, and honestly believe that he is my guardian angel. Fast forward 4 years, I'm going into my junior year, and we're moving cities. I live back with my mom at this time, so I remember I always had this little box of pictures of my Uncle Joel. I always kept this box either close to my bed, or I would hang the pictures of him up on my cork board or like in a picture frame or something like that. I would keep the pictures close to me. And I remember we were unpacking everything and I could not find this box. I was freaking out, so I'm like tearing shit apart, not find my box. So finally I go out and I'm like, Mom, like, have you seen my box of my pictures? Like, my pictures of Uncle Joel are in there. I can't find my box. I lost my box. I left it at the old house. I was freaking the fuck out. Mom's like, no, it's okay. It'll pop up. Like, just go clean everything up. Look in every box. Like, maybe your sister grabbed it and put it in, like, a random box. I go back into my room. My cell phone goes off. And this is at the time where, like, in iPhones, you couldn't set it to a default where it would, like, say the message on the screen. If you can't open it at the time, like, you still know what it said. It didn't have that. I had the iPhone 3GS or some shit like that. So when I looked at my phone, it just had this really long number, and I remember it had a lot of 7s in it. 7 is my lucky number. I'm looking at this number and I'm like, what the hell? I had a lot of friends who like didn't have phones, so like they would text off their iPod, so I just thought it was like somebody texting me off their iPod. So I open it, guys, I shit my pants when I look at this text message. It said, it's Joel. And once I answered it, they kept coming in. It kept saying, it's Joel, it's Joel, it's Joel, it's Joel, it's Joel, it's Joel. I freaked the fuck out. Fucking beelined it to my mom's room. Look at my phone. Somebody is texting me. They're saying it's Joel, yada yada. My mom was like, okay, calm down. That's fucking weird. Like, tell she was shook as fuck too. She like wasn't trying to scare me anymore because I was bawling at this point because they kept coming in once I opened. So she was like, okay, we'll call your dad like to see like if your brother's pranking you, yada yada. Call my dad, and I'm like, hey dad, like don't like want to freak you out, but like are you getting a text message from this random number telling you like it's Joel? My dad's like, no, what are you talking about? Can you please go ask Bubba if he is texting me? Call my brother Bubba because if he is, it's not funny, and if you are, like, it's not funny, this isn't funny. It was just such a coincidence that those text messages were coming in as I'm freaking out because I lost the box of pictures of my uncle that I had. That is fucking sus as fuck. So I like literally thought someone was pranking me. Dad's like, oh no, like I'm not texting you, like Bubba's not texting you, like nobody's texting you. Okay, well, are you guys getting texts like this? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna like leave my phone in mom's room, whatever, I'm gonna ignore it. So I hang up the phone with my dad and I get another text. And me and my mom just like looked at each other. The next text said, don't worry, I'm okay. I shit you not, that text message said, don't worry, I'm okay. And I don't know if somebody was pranking me to this day or if it was somebody else, or I don't know, but it was just too coincidental for me to believe that it was not my uncle. Freaking out that I couldn't find his pictures. Once I read that text, I was fucking out for the count. I was done for the night. Fuck no, I didn't want anything to do with my phone. I didn't want to see more shit like that come in. I left my phone in my mom's room. I went back into my room and that box of pictures was in plain sight. Plain fucking sight on my bed. You guys, I swear to fucking God, I'm not delusional. I'm not crazy. I could not find that box of pictures. I tore everything apart and I could not find those pictures. And then I'm getting these texts and then I'm gonna brain fucks me because I'm just like this shit is so real. I can always feel him around me, but that shit was just like too much for me. I will never forget that. Forward a couple more years, for some reason my mom and my aunt get this like wild hair up their ass. I want to go see all these fucking mediums. They're buying tickets to Teresa Caputo. I was like, someone definitely just knocked on my door, but there's nobody there. Okay, calm down. So yeah, like I was saying, they're buying tickets to Teresa Caputo. You know, they're going to see this medium like by where we live. My mom tags along with my aunt to go see a medium. My aunt had her own purposes to go see this medium. She had a husband who passed away. If you guys want to hear that fucking story, that's a whole other fucking paranormal experience in itself. Let me fucking tell you. It was my aunt's session. My mom didn't even, you know, didn't pay to get like read by this medium. My mom brought like some little things like of like loved ones that we have, or just like monumental shit in her life that like means something to her. Guess who came through at this reading? Yep. My Uncle Joel. And my mom said that he came through to tell me that he knows I think of him. He's very well aware of it. He is looking after my siblings and I, and he loves us and he's okay. That was it. That's all he said. Honestly, too, that was in, when they saw that medium, that was in, I don't know, maybe like July or August. No, but it was somewhere close to like the time he died. Like it was the, you know, so it's like, it's just too fucking coincidental. So yeah, that is the time my uncle, you know, gave me a little message. I'm very grateful for it. I know that when I feel that presence, whatever it is around me, I know that's him and I know that he is looking after me. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and if you want to hear more stories like this of some paranormal freaky shit that has happened to me, please let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you guys are notified of every time I post a new video, and I promise you I'll be more on top of it from here on out. I'm out of my little funk and ready to get back into filming and putting out content for you guys. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and I'll link my Facebook down below as well, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!